Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today, including Kelly McCrimmon, standing by, are sponsored by Basant Motors. It's No Tax November at Basant Motors this month. Let Basant pay the GST with the purchase of your next new-to-you vehicle. Learn more at basantmotors.com. Vegas Golden Knights in Vancouver tonight to take on the Canucks at Rogers Arena. And we're joined now by someone who's become a regular on this show. I think this is the third or fourth time he's joined us. We're going to have to start paying him pretty soon. Kelly McCrimmon, GM of the Knights. How are you, sir?
Doing well, fellas. How are you guys today?
Good. Very, very well. Yeah, I'm sure you're doing well. How does a team go? And you're third overall in the NHL standings. I know it's very early, Kelly, but how does a team go from not making the playoffs to where you are today?
Well, I think a few things. I think primarily better health. We had some players that had real challenges last year with injuries that even when they did get back playing late in the season, I don't think were at the top of their game. So longest off season that we've had because we missed the playoffs. It was a chance for our team to recharge. And I think, when you miss the playoffs, it's humbling regardless of what those reasons might be. So I think it's given us an attitude that we have something to prove. And I think as well, just the players have really received new coach Bruce Cassidy very well. And he's had a really positive impact on our team also.
Why has he been such a solid fit, Kelly, Bruce Cassidy?
Well, I think, I didn't know Bruce prior to hiring him, but certainly had an appreciation for his work over a long period of time in the Boston organization. Obviously, 6 years with the NHL team, but just even within the organization, much longer than that when you look at his time in Providence. And, Bruce's teams were good over an extended period of time, which isn't easy to do in the National Hockey League. Teams were always good defensively, but I didn't ever feel that it was done so in a manner that stifled offense, which sometimes is a trade-off that teams that play really strong defensive systems, allow themselves, and really good special teams always. So I think those were some of the things that we were interested in. And, I think, every coach has their own style. I mean, it's interesting. There's been some pretty good examples this year of teams, Bruce's old team in Boston with Jim Montgomery, Pete DeBoer, who was with our organization now doing a real good job in Dallas. Rick Bowness, who was in Dallas, now doing a really good job in Winnipeg. So there's something to that. Obviously, the change, I think, has benefited a lot of the teams that have made those changes.
Hey, Kelly, we talked about injuries. You're still dealing with one, a significant one in a way, at least one. That's Robin Lehner. What was your reaction the day you found out he was going to be done for the season? And what's your reaction now, given the way Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill have filled in?
Well, injuries happen and surprises happen. These things don't always play out exactly like you expect that they will. And then the other thing that ties into the same discussion is just the timing. And in our situation with Robin, it was late July, early August before we had final decisions being made on in terms of what the next best steps were going to be. And it was past a point in time where we might have been involved in free agency for a goaltender. It was past the window where some goalies were traded. So, for us, Logan Thompson made a really good impression on our team last year. Again, his opportunity came through injuries to Lehner and Laurent Brossoit at different times over the course of the final months of our season. So we were encouraged by that, but it was such a small body of work that you don't really know. And then we felt it was important to acquire Aiden Hill from San Jose. Aiden was a guy that Sean Burke and our staff had some history with. Of course, he'd been in our division the entire time. So, we had, some confidence that he would be a good goalie for our team to add. So that's why we made the move. And with our team, it'll be by committee. Logan has had more starts than Aiden. Aiden played our last game in Edmonton on Saturday, but both have played well, and really to this point, goaltending hasn't been a concern for us.
Kelly, one of the toughest things to do in the NHL is win on the road, but not an issue with you guys. 8-1-1. How happy are you with your record away from Las Vegas?
Well, road records early in the season are probably a little easier than they are as you get on in the season. I know, last year it's just so interesting how things can change. Last year, coming out of the All-Star break early in February, we were in first place in our division. We had a 5-game road trip to the East Coast later in February where we lost all 5 games, and it was from there that we just never ever got caught up after that happened. And this past trip, we went east and had a 5-game trip and won all 5. So, you can see the difference. And I think that, it was just sort of a reflection, I think, of some of the things that our coaches are really stressing with our players. We do some things differently. They've had to adapt and adjust. But I think when you are able to get results, it makes that coaching piece easier in terms of, confirming that we're doing the right things.
Kelly, your thoughts on the opponents tonight, the Vancouver Canucks? They've been up and down, but a lot of heat on Bruce in the market. But your feelings on the Canucks?
Well, it's not just who you play, it's when you play them. And, Vancouver are healthier now than they've likely been in a while. They're coming off, a really big win on Friday where their goaltender was very good. And, of course, he's, front and center in any success that the Canucks have had. And he's a goaltender that the Golden Knights know very well. So, we expect a real tough game. They've been off for 2 days, which in the NHL is a long break. So expecting them to be fresh, ready to go. And we'll need to be at the top of our game to have any success here tonight.
Kelly, 22 points in 19 games. What do you like about the way Jack Eichel is playing?
Well, Jack was able to start with a full training camp and be part of it from day one. He's really strong. He really trains hard. Just has made a really good impression, with everyone, with teammates, with the coaches, the organization. I think that for him, is he's just in a way better place right now, having had a full off season, knowing where he's going to be playing. If you compare it to a year ago, he went through the off season not knowing where he was going to be playing. He went into September, October. It wasn't until early November that the trade was made between ourselves and Buffalo. Then he had surgery a couple of weeks later. At that point in time, don't forget that people weren't 100% sure what rehab of a neck injury like that with that, with a disc replacement, which is he was the first NHL player to have done that. So there's lots of question marks. And then he rejoined our team at a time where we were really struggling and really having trouble putting a lineup together. So I just think all of those things have put him in a really good spot with our team as we begin the season here together. He's been really playing well on the line, most recently with Mark Stone, Chandler Stevenson. That line's been really good for us.
1,000 straight games and counting. What has Phil Kessel added to your team?
Well, he's a guy with something to prove as well. I think one of the things that had some appeal for our organization when we looked at it is I think Phil felt that he'd been a little bit forgotten in Arizona. He's a guy that's had a really consistent, productive, successful career, and I just like the mindset when a player wants to show people. I think that is a really healthy mindset. That's I think I don't know that I touched on it here in this interview, but I sure think that's how our team feels with respect to this season. So it fits in really nicely with us. It's interesting. He broke the record with it was 991, I believe, was the record breaking game. He tied it at home against Toronto. He broke it the next night against San Jose, and it was really interesting to see just how happy our players were for him. And I don't think Phil really downplayed it, and yet I think even in his own way he was pretty overwhelmed by just how big a deal it became. So that was a really nice honor for Phil. And then not much later than playing his 1,000th consecutive game, which again, an accomplishment that will probably never be broken.
Just before I let you go, Kelly, back to Eichel. Is it possible he could play 82 road games in Buffalo? That must have been a fun night, going back there and getting the hat trick.
Well, it was a special night for Jack, and not unlike what I just mentioned with respect to Phil. One of the neatest things about the Buffalo game was how happy our players were for Jack, how bad they wanted to win the game for Jack, and then just the way that the game played out, where it became a real special night for Jack in terms of his own performance. But at the end of the day, most happy that our team won and we could get home. It was the 5th game on a 5-game trip, and it marked a real successful trip for a lot of different reasons. And again, it was nice. It was nice for Jack.
Okay, Kelly, we'll get you on next week or maybe the week after that. All right, we appreciate it.
A friend of the show. That's called.
Friend of the show.
You bet. Kelly, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.